So I'm very excited. I'm a bit biased because I'm a big fan of Efie Gallery.
Thank you.
And first of all, I want to thank you for making the time.
Thank you for
I know
being
it's
here.
been busy for you guys here at the fair. I want to know a little bit about Efie Gallery. Obviously, I do know, but for the viewers and the listeners, to know a little bit about Efie Gallery and your participation here at Abu Dhabi Art Fair.
Okay, perfect. Efie Gallery is a family gallery, as you know. It's myself, my brother, and our mother. We founded the gallery in 2021 due to the amalgamation of reasons. But
Yeah.
I'll start with our genesis story. We had basically an exhibition in Birch Park as a part of a wider festival.
Yeah.
And it was focused on African arts in the
Yeah.
region. It was going to be just an exhibition to highlight cross-cultural and intergenerational artists from our side of the world. But what became an exhibition eventually became a gallery.
Yeah.
And as a family, we live between London, Dubai, and Accra. So when we opened the gallery, we said, okay, which of these three locations should we have a permanent fixture in? Naturally, we looked at Ghana first, as we are Ghanaian. But in Ghana, we had something called Nancy, which is a library dedicated to African literature. So we said in terms of creativity, we kind of had that region sorted.
Yeah.
So it was between London and Dubai. With London, you notice that the art scene is quite saturated. So even if you had a strong program, there's a lot going on. But when it comes to African art in particular, there was like a lot of need for deconstruction.
Yeah.
Because previously African art was seen as something as primitive, and then moved to just pure imagery around like wildlife or African masks. And it was seen as like subpar compared to the contemporaries.
Yeah.
So we noticed, okay, if we're going to have a gallery there, first there's a need to deconstruct narratives before you can attribute new narratives. So we looked at the Middle East, this side of the world. We noticed that here we're almost given a blank canvas. Like the art scene here is quite Nascent. So as opposed to having to deconstruct to construct, here it's just pure construction.
Yeah.
And yes, it's easy to diagnose a problem and say, okay, how African art is being treated or being perceived in the West is an issue. We said, okay, that's easy to say that. What's the solution? How do we get African art to be perceived? So we sat down as a family and said, okay, what is African art? And that's we drew blanks.
Yeah.
So we said, why don't we open the question? We say, what is art? And of course, you draw blanks. Like in the world of conceptual art, we went to an exhibition recently, and there was like an exhibition, and an artist has just put delivery receipts.
Yeah.
And that was an art. In the context of the gallery, that's artwork. So we said, okay, why aren't African artists allowed this level of freedom? You know, why can't they do anything they are? Why are we trying to define African art?
Yeah.
So we should be able to like lean into unknown. So we wanted to have a roster and a gallery and artists so diverse that one day you can come to the gallery and say, oh, this is terrible. This is not art. This is horrible. And the next month you can come and say, oh, this is wonderful. This is great.
Yeah.
And in that moment you can't say whether you hate or love African art, because you realize that African art is as expansive as anything.
Yeah. And as creative and innovative.
Exactly. So we only really focus on quality and African artists, but we're also very engaged with the diaspora.
Yeah.
Often when people think of Africa, they only think of the continent, but Africans are all over the world.
Yeah.
So we want to have artists from America, from Cuba, from the Caribbean, from Europe, who are African, and really try and like have a Pan-African spirit. To understand that Africans can be seen all over the world and really just promote the quality of the artists.
Yeah.
In this booth alone, we have Samuel Foster, who's one of the most important photographers alive today. Is Royson, Santa Pompidou, MoMA, Guggenheim, Tate.
That's amazing. But people don't know.
People. What's funny is like some artists, some African artists are so great that they even transcend the continent, and people just see them as artists. So we really want to like focus in on how great many African artists are, and also instill this sense of pride within Africans and within people who are subscribe to African creativity. To understand, okay, there's greatness everywhere.
I agree 100%. I had the privilege of learning so much about arts and culture in Africa, in general, the African continent, you know, not just through Efie Gallery and the work that you guys are doing, but also through my work in Africa. And I've learned so much about the richness of arts in Africa. And I think the work you guys are doing in the UAE, through the UAE as well, to export this idea, this narrative, and change perception towards African artists are amazing. And I think the more you do and the more you participate in fairs like this, the more you are changing perceptions. But not only that, you are giving people an opportunity to own beautiful work that they maybe don't get exposed to. And I think there is so much work still need to be done in this area, because
100%.
it's not an easy place, I'm not talking about the UAE, but in general, and the art sector is so busy, so crowded. You have to stand up. But African art is very distinguished. It's
100%.
very tasteful.
100%.
But people who will invest time to learn about these beautiful creations will get to a right place. I discovered so many amazing artists through Efie Gallery.
Thank you.
So I want to know more about this specific art piece.
I'll speak about, but perhaps before I get there, it's important for me to note that for us, like, we don't want to just be a satellite for Africa in the Middle East.
Yes.
We really engage with this idea of cross-cultural exchange.
Yes,
and building
of
new
course.
bridges between the Middle East and Africa. So we
Yes.
have like residency programs where we'll have an African artist who will travel here, engage with the
Nice.
culture, and similarly what we're looking at having it to be bi-directional, or we'll have Emirati or Middle Eastern practitioners going
Amazing.
to the continent, because we feel
Amazing.
through art you're able to, well, it illuminates the connections between different people, which often we don't think of, and we're both like part of like this idea of the global south. And often when African artists are seen to be successful, they have to enter, as I just mentioned, like museums which are in the West.
Yeah.
And it's like that's like almost a sign of success.
Yeah.
And being here is like we're able to create new connections where an African artist can be successful outside of the West. And it's also important for us, both for the Middle East and for Africa, to get
do that.
closer, because
And historically, we have done that. To be honestly, the UAE and Africa are culturally rooted for decades. And to, this residency programs and all the exchange programs that you want to achieve and do, I think it's a beautiful thing to show both cultures. There's so many similarities. People think we're so different. We're not different. We are so similar. We just need these works to come together.
Yeah. And then back to the booth. This booth, we wanted to have, as I mentioned, an intergenerational and intercontinental reach. So at the forefront, we have Dina Rasati. He's a Sudanese artist based in Brooklyn. This year alone, she's gone into the permanent collection of the Brooklyn Museum, St. Louis Museum, Smithsonian.
Yeah.
Then at the back, we have Dr. Oku Mpromfo, who's a Ghanaian artist, modernist artist who's heavily overlooked. We have a work from 1946, a work from 1964.
Wow.
He basically channeled his idea of Sankofa back in the 50s. And Sankofa is a Ghanaian idiom which is focused on the idea of to go forward or to go backwards. So his works are rooted in traditional techniques of sculpture, using ebony, using mahogany, really going back to your roots. Here by my side, we have works of a phenomenal Kenyan artist based in Kenya, who is in her 50s, and she uses railway sleeper wood, which is wood from Kenya. Commissioned by there was a railway in Kenya called the ISA Railway, which was commissioned by the British, using Indian workers and Indian wood. And of course, it was part of like the whole extracting materials and resources out of Kenya. So there's a lot of history within the wood itself.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, the history traverses from India to Britain to Kenya. It talks about migration. It talks about extraction. And she said the wood is already charged with so much history that even before she even places her hand on the wood, it's already an artwork.
That's
and she
amazing.
really just makes them humanoid, makes them figurative. And you'll see like the scarification in the works, which are both natural from the wood and also done by hand. And she said often when we think of scars or we think of damage, we should really be focused on the healing process.
Yeah.
Where like, of course, if you're coming from the continent, we've been broken by things like colonization or extractive behaviors.
Yeah.
Now in being renewed, you almost strengthen, like when you go to the gym and you tell your muscles and it makes you bigger. So just really focus on this idea
That's
of
beautiful.
And this element of
and it's much needed.
It's much needed. And it's thought-provoking.
Yeah.
And then finally, we have Samuel Foster, who really needs no introduction. As I mentioned, he's one of the most important photographers living today. And this is one of his most iconic works it's a self-portrait. All his works are self-portraits. And it's called The Chief Who Sold Africa to the Colonists. So the way we designed the booth where even though we're in a commercial setting, which is an art fair, we want to have this level of curation. So we're in his room, and these are the objects that perhaps the chief would have sold back in the day. So this is just, the booth in its totality, and always trying to find like a through line or a thread between each artist to make sure that even if we're in a commercial setting, we still have like the storytelling.
Yeah.
Because while on one end we're a commercial gallery, we need to make money. Another end, we always want to extol and push the needle on African artists and the perception of African artists.
I actually like how you curated the space because it doesn't feel overwhelming.
Thank you.
And it takes you, and even like when you were explaining the artists and the displays, makes perfect sense, you know? Even if you have a guest who doesn't know anything about curation and you take them through this journey, they will get it. They will get the story you're trying to communicate. And I think that's amazing. Given the fact that this is your second year participating in Abu Dhabi Art, can you give us a little bit about your experience and the response from the community? Is it mostly international, mostly local, or a combination? How's it been?
I mean, the fair's been going for almost 17 years, and it feels like we're at the conclusion of Abu Dhabi Art as it is, as the next year becomes Frieze Abu Dhabi. It's a very interesting fair, more due to the pace. Whereas like, it forces you to remind yourself you're in Abu Dhabi. Like most fairs is always like pack, back to back. But here's a very long fair, 7 days. And it's just it allows collectors to almost be forced to actually look at the work, engage with the work. There's not this rush in other fairs. You have to come now. You have to be here now. But it really allows you to really sit down with the works and enjoy the works. So it's a lovely fair. I mean, it's beautiful because you know you're in Abu Dhabi in the fair. It doesn't take you away from Abu Dhabi. So hopefully we'll see in Frieze when it becomes Frieze Abu Dhabi that the Abu Dhabi energy is still here.
We're very excited. We're very excited about Frieze. Before we end this conversation, I wanted to ask you if you have any interesting emerging Emirati artists or an Emirati artist that you think it's the next big thing? Okay,
the next big thing. There's a few. But
give me the few list so I can actually go.
There's one, Alia, I think Al Nayan. She's with Irish Projects. Her work is phenomenal.
I think you were talking about Sheikh Aliazi Al Nayan. Yes. Her work is amazing.
Her work is incredible. Don't represent her. I'm good friends with Miriam.
Miriam is amazing.
But her work is incredible. There's not an emerging artist, but there's an Emirati artist called Dr. Ahmed Yusuf. He is one of the pioneers of Emirati work. And he's been heavily overlooked. He's done Venice now twice. His work is phenomenal, heavily overlooked. So if you're looking at Emirati artists, he's one person you should look at, 100%.
Perfect.
That's my two. There's more, but
I have a feeling there's more, but off record you can.
You can't get it for free.
But I think these are beautiful things, and this is what I appreciate about Efie Gallery and like the family as well. That you are very keen to not just engage with, as you mentioned, like African talents. You're engaging with Emirati talents, Khaliji talents, globally, with everyone. But I appreciate that about the family. You're not just focused on African art. You want to make sure that you're part of the community and you're engaging with the community. And I appreciate that so much.
We appreciate being here.
Thank you so much. Take care.
See you.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Thank you.